Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Patmos, and today we're going to do a dive master, deep dive into the story of COVID. Now, it's been just about 6 years, almost 6 years, since this virus erupted upon the world, and millions of people have died. Over 1.2 million Americans are dead. We led the world in mortality from COVID. And I think it's a good time to sort of reflect back on what happened, what went wrong, and who's responsible for it. Let me say right up front, this is all gets back to Donald Trump. He mismanaged this pandemic, and as a result, over 1.2 million Americans died. Hundreds of thousands of those deaths could have been prevented, but they weren't because of the decisions that he made. And why do I say that? It's all in the text below. I have linked multiple documents there and films, documentaries, so you can trace the whole thing out. But in a nutshell, here is what happened. In January of 2020, a virus which emerged from zoonotic uh, sources, from bats most likely. There is no credible evidence, biochemical evidence, that it came from Wuhan. All of the biochemical, genetic evidence, viral DNA, viral evidence, viral genetic evidence shows that the virus it was of zoonotic origin. No one in who is knowledgeable in the field of viral genetics believes that it came from Wuhan. All of the experts and all of the data, which is overwhelming, point toward zoonotic origin. In any case, this virus emerged, and I actually got a phone call from someone I know who told me that this was happening in China, and this was in early January 2020, and to prepare in the United States. As you know, I do internal medicine and infection control, and I was actually given a heads up that it was coming. And by February, within a month, the virus was transported into the United States and made its appearance in the Pacific Northwest. And quickly, it began spreading. Now, Trump initially came out and said it was not going to be a big problem here, don't worry about it. And it quickly became evident that it was a big problem. By late February of 2020, Trump convened his medical expert team, Dr. Fauci and the others, and they made a list of recommendations that are standard infection control procedures. It's exactly what we do in infection control, how to stop an epidemic. And initially, Trump said, okay, and he started to do what was necessary. It took him about a week to figure out, hey, wait a second, this is going to hurt the economy, which is going to hurt my reelection chances. So we can't have this. We have to reopen the economy, and we've got to play down this virus, and I need an alternative strategy. So he threw out all of the experts. That's all documented in the two videos I attached. He threw out all the experts. He didn't just throw them out. He marginalized them and disparaged them and vilified them and made them into public enemies. So much so that Dr. Fauci had to fear for his life. One of the greatest doctors of the last century has to fear for his life. In any case, Trump didn't like the recommendations he got. He rejected them. He rejected the experts, and he had to come up with another strategy. So what did he do? He brought in experts from that he liked, and he brought in a team of doctors, none of whom are qualified, some of whom have outright fabricated credentials. I've put a link below in an article about fake experts. He brought in fake experts, and he consulted with a political PR firm, the biggest political PR firm of all, O'Donnell and Associates, to come up with an alternative narrative of talking points. And they came up with a thing called the Corona Big Book. It's in the link. It's linked below in the text below, and it's a list of talking points of all the things that the political PR people told Trump that he needs to say, and to get this word out to all the GOP folks and to his propaganda friends at Fox News and elsewhere. And the Corona Big Book is linked below. You can read exactly what the PR political consultants told Trump to say, which is it came from China. It was a man-made thing, and all of the stuff that it's a hoax and blah blah blah. All of that came from O'Donnell and Associates. It's right there in the text below. So what we had a the American pathogen who rejected the advice of experts, brought in fake experts to give him an alternative strategy, and consulted with O'Donnell Associates. And all of this was wrapped up in a document called the Great Barrington Declaration, which was written by nobody who is actually an infectious disease doctor, written by people who, some Dr. Bhattacharya never even did an internship. The document has no references, no bibliography. It doesn't cite any research. It just was pulled out of thin air. And it basically created this idea that if we just let everybody get COVID, just vaccinate the old people and let everybody else get it, and the virus will go away. Well, it didn't happen. Everybody did get infected, and we now have a reservoir of people, somewhere around 3, 4, 5% of the American people, that are hosting this virus and perpetuating it and keeping it alive. I put an article linked below about how Trump's failed strategy led to the establishment of a human host reservoir and perpetuated the pandemic, and to this day. And so we are now responsible for creating COVID and creating the virus. We are the host. We have a human host reservoir now, and all of that is due to Trump's mismanagement. So what you have here is a timeline and links to all the documentation to prove what I've just told you. The bottom line is that Trump so mismanaged this event. This is the defining event of really probably since World War II. Over 1.2 million Americans died, hundreds of thousands dead unnecessarily, all due to the mismanagement of Donald Trump. And that's the story of COVID. Now, what's really sad is that there's so much misinformation that Trump is responsible for putting out there. Trump and his team are responsible for spreading all this misinformation, and half the country believes it. I talk to people all the time who think that the virus came from Wuhan, who think that that the vaccine didn't work and is ineffective. The vaccine saved millions of lives, and even the Republican-led Congressional Committee that investigated COVID, that basically echoed the Corona Blue Book, Corona Big Book, concluded that the vaccine saved millions of American lives. It could have saved a lot more had we not abandoned it, and had we not abandoned the effort, the infection control practices. How could Trump? What should he have done? He should have listened to the infection doctors. He should have listened to infection control experts. He should have done what they said. Had he done what the experts recommended, we would not have had 1.2 million Americans dead. Yes, we would have suffered some economic consequences, but we did anyway. And by now, the virus would be gone, and we wouldn't have never-ending, ongoing waves of COVID. And we wouldn't have the long COVID problem and all the people who've been permanently damaged because of COVID. So in any case, that's the whole story. I hope you find it interesting, and think about that in the next days and weeks as Donald Trump's presidency comes to an end. Thank God, because the man is the most dangerous man who, in my lifetime, that's for sure. Have a great weekend.